Nunnally is a rank 4 healer pilot. Let's go to her effects. So first we have Please Accept My Love. Upon deployment and every 30 seconds thereafter, when the health of an ally unit within range reaches 0, an effect where 100% of their health is healed once and their max health is lowered by 25% is granted. That was kind of confusing, so let me try to explain this in English because this translation is god awful. What it's saying is that every 30 seconds, Nunnally will put a special buff on your character, and if that character's health reaches 0, their health will automatically be restored to 100%, but the total health, I should say the max health, will be reduced by 25%. Hopefully that makes sense. Now to the second ability, Increase Double Attacks. 3 seconds after deployment and every 20 seconds thereafter increases the double attacks, I prefer simultaneous attacks, triggered by this unit's normal attacks by 1 for 20 seconds. That's really good because if you use her in a nightmare frame that only attacks one enemy at a time, she'll attack 2, so you can still heal 2 pilots at once. Now let's talk about her stats, which they're pretty good. She has relatively balanced attack stats, higher long range as opposed to short, but still they're both pretty good. She has a fast redeployment time. I love healers with fast redeployment time because on the harder challenge missions where you're limited by how many roster spots you can have, well, not roster spots but deployment spots, it's good to have a pilot you can move around the battlefield so you can have basically one healer serve the duty of 2 or 3. Now when I first reviewed this pilot, I was kind of harsh on her and I kind of want to retract some of my complaints because after getting her sometime last year on my Japanese account, obviously, I found that she was actually much better than I thought. I don't think she's amazing, but I don't think she's that bad either. On the really hard Britannian faction challenges and also the Royal Family faction challenges, this Nunnally is actually a really solid choice if you don't have any other good healers, or if you do, because sometimes you need 2 healers to cover a lot of ground because those missions are really difficult. And while it's true that the pilot's maximum health will be reduced heavily after the effect triggers, keep in mind if you're doing this correctly, that might be good enough to get through the battle, because what happens in my case when I use characters with this particular type of ability, the enemy is about to kill my pilot, but then this effect triggers, they come back to 100% health and they wipe out the enemy or survive long enough. In situations where this effect resolves but your pilot still gets killed, you probably were going to lose anyways, and that's not really Nunnally's fault, because the point of this character is to simply give you a second chance to survive a deadly encounter and overwhelm the enemy that was trying to kill your units. Another great thing about this Nunnally is that she'll keep applying this effect every 30 seconds, which you might think is not that relevant, but that's actually really good. Again, I didn't use this character before, but when I got her, my perspective completely changed. Now in my video, I did mention she's really broken in arena mode, and yes, she is. She is very broken in arena mode because now you have to kill each pilot twice, or at least the ones in range, to complete a mission. And I know people are going to spam her for that because, well, you should, just like Halloween Lelouch if you have him. Down the road, we're going to get a new Urabe whose effect triggers when his health reaches 0. So if you combine him with this Nunnally or any other pilot with a similar effect, you can do a lot of damage. Those are obviously niche uses, and that brings up the fact that while this effect is good, most of the time it's a win more and is only really useful, like I said, in the Urabe situation, arena mode, or really hard missions. Other than that though, you don't really need this healer. Now obviously the fast redeployment time can help as well, but again, it's very niche use only. And like all healers, she has really low durability, which kind of sucks. Now I will say the first year anniversary is not bad. They buffed her health and attack power, but still it's not the greatest. And in my play testing of this character, I found she died way too much. At least her effect to instantly heal a pilot after their health reaches 0 also applies to her, which is really nice, and she needs it because again, she has really low durability. So overall, I really like this pilot. I think she's better than what I thought when I first reviewed the character, but I still don't think it's worth summoning her for this banner. I think you might get her for your free dailies, and of course there's better stuff down the road, as you guys already know. Now let's move on to the new Lancelot that we're getting in the Nightmare Frame boss battle event. Okay, here's the Lancelot. By the way, they actually added the stats this time. Remember what happened with the Panzer Hummel where they basically didn't show you anything? At least this time they fixed that. So while I've been critical on this game, especially after the Valentine event debacle, at least here, at the bare minimum, they gave us information about the Lancelot. Now let's go over its stats. It's a floating Nightmare Frame. It's got 200 defense, cost 10, which is really good because the other one costs way more. 300 attack power, which is not too bad actually. That's pretty good. Attacks 2 enemies within range at the same time. Always love that. And the special attacks 3 enemies within range at 4.5 times your attack power. I'm not exaggerating when I say that this is probably one of the best free Nightmare frames they've ever given us, whether it be a Nightmare frame boss battle event or a simple giveaway, because this thing essentially substitutes the Lancelot flight enabled version, which has one of the best unique long ranges in the game. And that's why this thing is really useful. It can hit 5 spots in front of you, unlike Dalton's Gloucester, which only hits 4. And I can testify that right now and in the future, that range will always be relevant. That's why this Nightmare frame is really good. Now, sure, it doesn't have the melee weapon from the Lancelot flight enabled version, and the attack power and defense are lower, but who cares? It's a free Nightmare frame. That's the best part about this. They're giving everyone access to a Nightmare frame with one of the most unique ranges in the game. And that's why everyone should partake in the Nightmare frame boss battle event to get this Nightmare frame. The only major con which I would agree on for this Nightmare frame is the fact that it doesn't have fixed damage, which right now is not a huge deal, but down the road it could be. If you don't normally partake in the Nightmare frame boss battle events, this time you absolutely should, because this Nightmare frame is absolutely worth it. And speaking of the Nightmare frame boss battle events, I got a little handy guide right here that contains the best tips to succeed in that mode. Go check out that video right now.